We going.
Guys, you have to clean up after my previous project, but this is what I got right now. This is called a front splitter. These are little add-ons. They're universal, but condom away. For some reason, they fit on these cars perfectly. Really nice. They're like finished, perfectly finished. You can get it from these guys here. They're called 6-Speed. They're on eBay, and they also have a website. And I really like what they do because look, I mean, look at that. You get a pre-finished part. Looks really nice. It's already finished on the bottom. They already trimmed it. It's already nice and beveled and everything, ready to be mounted. All you gotta do is get you some screws and make a nice little addition to your car there. And they're really well made too. If you look at that, I mean, they're real flexible. So if you hit something, they're not gonna break right away. They got a hell of a lot of give to them. I mean, seriously, I can do that. If you can see that, but holy crap, that's really well made. Alright, I wanted to show you guys this because this is a product that I bought previous year, and it just didn't turn out quite as nice. It's bad quality of materials, and compared to the 6-Speed I'm about to show you, it's just terrible. Look at this. It's like it's a form mold. It's actually pressed. It's not a piece of shit like most. I'm going to end up cutting a little section off of here, which is not going to be too hard. I've done it before. It's not a... There's a few tools you can use. You can use a hacksaw, obviously. I mean, later on, what I'm going to end up doing is I'm going to end up adding a piece of aluminite or a PVC sheet. I'm going to make a diffuser. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and apologize for the audio quality. I recorded this. I didn't realize that it didn't have the range that I desired. But I'm going to go ahead and tell you what I did. Right here I am lining it up, making an assessment of where I need to cut the material from the back there, because it will hit. And it's really easy to cut this material. I'll explain that in a minute, but it's much better quality than the one I had before. It's so much easier to cut. And these are the 2 points that I'm cutting. I wanted to make sure I had enough room to turn the tire, because they do intrude on the area a little bit. It's already painted. The last ones I had to paint. What I did on the other one is, it happens that the stuff is pretty soft. It's pretty soft and pliable, and you can cut it with a regular old straight blade here and razor. Pretty much. I'll show you. I'll give a little demonstration here. And see that, but oh man, it takes a big ass chunk out of it. Look at that. Really easy cut, so that's great. That means that this is going to be a lot easier to modify than I thought. And kudos to the designer who decided to use this material. Alright, so depending on your application, you're going to want to cut the splitter if it interferes with your wheel. So right here I cut the material back, and just enough to make it even with the bumper. Alright, at this point you're going to want to start putting some screws in. You're going to start with number 1, go 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. But when you do number 2, go back and double check that your distance is correct on number 1. You want to make sure there's not a gap that you don't want there, or if there is too much interference at that point. The reason I did these with the wheel straight is because that is the closest point of contact. A little to the left or a little to the right, it will rub unless you measure it out properly. I measured it. I got them straight right now because I know that it's about a 1/4 inch from the edge of the tire whenever it's straight. Alright, so the reason I jacked up the vehicle is because you gotta get a quarter screw underneath there. Alright, so at this point I'm gonna go ahead and make the cut, and the reason I'm so sure of myself at this point is because I've done this one a couple of times. Whenever you're mounting these to your bumper, go ahead and line up the back closest to the tire, and go ahead and put a screw in there. Put the front where you want it after that, Once you do that, you should have a pretty good lineup, and then you can do some minor adjustments from there. I didn't oval the holes or anything like that. I did have a little bit of difficulty as far as getting it lined up, but all in all, it did turn out pretty nice. Now, I'm about to show you the cutout. Now, see how I actually left that little piece on the outside there? It actually turned out really nicely. The tire does not hit. It comes very close, which is exactly what I wanted. I wanted to get real close so it looked like it didn't clear. But if you're going to do this, make sure your tire clears 100%. You don't want to actually hit this thing. You don't want to rip it off while you're going down the road. Alright, so I wanted to show you the little separation spacer kind of setup I did here. I know it kind of looks funny when you're looking this close, but they're basically bottle cap. They go real well with the color theme of the car, and they actually worked perfectly because they're exactly what I needed for space-wise. Alright, so this is a couple days after I installed them. I wanted to run them around a little bit before I took a picture of them. Make sure they're nice and settled and everything was flexed to where it's going to be. Alright, so here's the finished product, and I think it looks really, really nice. They match very well to my factory trim, and honestly, it doesn't matter what you drive. You could drive a BMW, a Ford Focus, a whatever, and these look really good on cars in general. Definitely check out 6 Speed. They're on eBay, and I'll put a link in the description for their website as well.